You get this 31-page script, and I assume your first thought is, how am I ever going to memorize all this dialogue?
I like the idea that it was short, but basically what it said was that the dialogue is not going to be a big part of this. As an actor, I kind of enjoyed that because it was a challenge that I was anxious to meet. But it didn't take long for JC and I to come together on this, because I think the word was trust. It was a trust by instinct, because there was no time to develop a relationship. There was no time to do research on what kind of a guy he was, because he seemed to be kind of out of his mind, you know. And so I thought, well, maybe that's a good thing, and it was.
Yeah, it was a fine line. I mean, the first time we met, there was something, 10 minutes into the meeting, I had prepared this whole sort of hours-long presentation of why he should do the thing, and there was something, those 31 pages did feel like the movie. They're written pretty much the movie you just saw, so I think you understood there was a movie there, but he, I'll never forget it. He sort of sat there, he kind of patted his legs kind of 10 minutes into it, and he said, I just wanted to make sure you weren't totally insane, and let's do this. I literally remember him saying, let's do this. And at that point, for whatever reason, he never questioned anything that we were kind of sort of the foundation of this. It was like rock solid as to why he wanted to do it, and we just started moving kind of in lockstep. I had my reasons for making the film, but I knew that this version of the movie was sort of best left what you just saw. I really believe that was the strongest version of the movie. So, I think by the second or third week, we started to really come to grips where he realized, I have some pretty specifics about who he is, where he is, what kind of boat he's on. Strangely, the biography of the boat kind of laid in who the guy was, and then it became his opportunity to just go with it, and I think amazingly he did.
As an actor, is that liberating or exciting to not have a very specific roadmap to try to kind of figure it out as you go along, or to make it up as you seem fit?
This is an existential piece where you only know a few things, and the only things I really need to know are, one, there was a family involved, that he's sorry, that he tells them he tried and they know he tried, and that's it. And so from that point on, I went to a whole other place with it, which was, that's all we need to know. The rest of it is going to be the part that allows the audience to come into it, because you don't tell them too much. And so I ended up appreciating that part of it.
There's tremendous detail that the detail that we spent every day going into were sort of emotional transitions within each scene, which is something that he can do. I don't know how he can, but he can, so that essentially we would do an action, and we'd work through something, and then we say, and right here at this moment, X is going to happen, and fear turns to perseverance, or boredom turns to god-awful fear, or anger turns to beauty, and all of those moments which I started to treat like dialogue almost, and he has an amazing ability that he can turn on and off, which makes it even that much more amazing, where he is essentially I could change a note and say that's this isn't actually, you're not panic stricken right now, you're heading out there, now what you can do to fix this, so that is switched. And he'd do another take, and it would be clear as day right there, non-verbally in front of you. And so those were the details that we zeroed in on, and I think the sort of limited nature of the film allowed that sort of journey to be hopefully one the audience goes on and with. It's a one-person movie, so you don't have anybody else to shoot if I hurt this guy in any way. So it was very stressful on a lot of levels, and I think it mirrored the stress of a character in that case, because unlike a wild animal, if you hurt yourself out there, that pretty much is it. You sort of seriously hurt yourself. There's you know, it's the way most wild creatures, if they're not eaten, die, you know, and so there was, in a weird way, I love that that was hanging over the character's head, because so we played with taking risks, but trying to have them be calculated, and then I think you've said it, so I'm not saying anything, but you know, then ego and both of our egos start getting involved, and we both started to become more comfortable with the surroundings, and then he started doing things that he shouldn't have been.
I was what started was I asked him when we met. I said, "This is pretty intense, you know, physical stuff. What's on your mind?" He said, "Well, we use for close-ups. We'll have doubles." And I said, "Okay." So when we got there, because I was physical in my life, played sports, and liked to do my own stunts when I could, it was a kind of an ego thing. I want to do what I can. Also, as an actor, I always felt that you should be as complete as you can be as an actor. Therefore, it isn't just a talking head. It's your whole body is involved. But you're not 20 anymore. And so when we got there, I think ego kicked in. And I thought, well, let me see. Let me take a shot at this. You know, let me see if I can do it. And when he realized I could, then he'd push me further. And then when he pushed me further, I'd go further. Next thing you know, we were all both in danger.
Yeah.
There's only one area that I asked him to give me something because I trusted him so much. And that was, I said, JC, things are moving so fast. Would you at least create some moments for me to think? Because if I'm so busy just dealing, then we might be missing something about the character being inside of himself. And so when I was a kid, I grew up here in Los Angeles, in Santa Monica. And as a kid, we didn't have much as a family, so the only thing I had was to go to the beach. And I would play along the shore, and I would, you know, surf and swim and do those things. But every now and then, I'd lay back on the beach, and I'd look out. I'm just a kid. And I would look out, and I would say, this ocean goes on, it seems forever. I think if you keep going, you're going to go to Japan. And I thought, wow. So in my head as a kid came the idea that this is a vast, vast thing, this ocean. When we were on the boat, when we were working, I thought, you know, it's the most unexplored part of our planet, the ocean. And it's deep, and it's dark, it gets darker and darker as you go down. And being alone on the boat, when a guy has a moment just to contemplate or to take in what's around him, I thought, what if he could think about, here I am in the middle of sort of nowhere, and as far as I can see, it's just this vast stretch of nothing but horizon. And below me is a vast stretch of deep, 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 miles of deep water, and I'm alone on that line. Maybe if we just had a moment where you could give me just a moment to pause and just look out, that's sort of where I would go. Audience can go where they want to go, but at least it's a moment where the guy, at least every now and then, just contemplates what's there.